Hey guys, we're back with another ship showcase today, and we're going to be looking at the part 2 of the Castella Company. This is a fleet created by SpudVoucher that is meant to be a PvP meta fleet. These are the extensions of his first issue of the fleet, which you can see here on this video that I've covered in the past. All these ships are publicly available on the Steam Workshop, and the links are in the description of this video. The first ship is the Calliope gunship. I hope I pronounced that right. Sorry, SpudVoucher. This is a very small ship, but it is a very capable ship. It has 4 inner PDCs facing the rear and 2 Ares launchers that can put out a little bit of torp damage, just enough to ward off some pirates, or maybe in a wolf pack these could actually do a lot of damage. I love how Spud used the new antennas and the new antenna arrays and comm array blocks to really fill out the front of this ship and make it look like it has a huge communications package that is great for scouting and looking for enemy ships. As always, SpudVoucher does an incredible job with his Greebling. The fact that he came up with this design to use some of our modded catwalk blocks along with the passageways to create this kind of overlapping effect is absolutely insane. I don't even know how he came up with that. Then of course, going around to the back, you can see he uses some of the other passageways to create some access points for cargo, and then also it is a multi-drive ship, which means it has lots of redundancy, and he uses some of the drives that a lot of people don't use, but it does give that extra redundancy, which I think really helps. And again, with the catwalk blocks, just to create that extra greebling. Again, using the duct or passage blocks with the heat vents below them, like, I don't understand how he comes up with this. It is insane that it's actually like a thought in his head to create some kind of emissive light greebling. Going inside the ship, there's a small connector, of course, down here above the door, which is pretty standard on all of the DX builds. Going inside, you have a small airlock, which is nice. Let me adjust my FOV. You have the extractor to the left for fuel tanks, and this is going to be a very, very tight ship. You have some ammo, you got the CIC and cockpit. It's all one area because it is such a small ship. One thing I love about lots of SpudVoucher's builds is that they are extremely functional, but also have a nice aesthetic touch, especially on the inside, like creating a little bathroom shower area. Like, a lot of people wouldn't do that, but he does. Going down, you have a backup cockpit, the survival kit, and then some access. Next up is the Cossack class corvette. This is a little higher in terms of combat capability than the PT boat. It has 2 coil guns, one on the top, one on the bottom, and then a bigger selection and variability in terms of the PDCs it has. You can see it has the Narrowman PDCs and the Redfield PDCs. And then of course it has an incredible front of the ship with lots of, things that look like they are comm arrays, even though they're just greebling, which I think is incredible. And then he does a really good job of using the slopes on this one to make it look more like a smooth and streamlined ship. Of course, it has a couple of torpedo launchers, one on the top, one on the bottom. Again, not a huge torpedo load, but definitely could do some damage. And another amazing look at the greebling that he did. And then of course, this drive pack is incredible. It has some nice little armored panels that kind of protect it, and then just the perfectly symmetrical, drives around the main drive it's pretty insane that he actually came up with this, and it's of course absolutely beautiful and extremely functional. He uses one of our modded doors that we have on our server to create this really cool angled door into the airlock. And then this interior is pretty Spartan, but I think it works. It's just a big long tube that goes through. Of course, he has quarters for everybody because, who doesn't need quarters on a combat ship? And moving through, his med bay, blah, 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 etc. And then, of course, the cockpit and other areas. This just leads to some maintenance, which is actually really important on ships like this. You can get access to the interiors and quickly repair reactors or gyros or batteries or whatever else needs to be repaired, especially hydrogen tanks. And then of course this goes just right through the ship, and the cockpit is right here for people to use. Next up is the Cuirassier class cruiser. Again, really hope I pronounced that right, but this is a hunting cruiser, so it is meant to take down its enemies and then use this huge grinding rack on the front to grind them down on site and kind of eat them like a vulture. This is really important on our server because you have to hunt NPCs to get certain tech and certain weapons that allow you to have better weapons. So we have 2 railguns on the back facing backwards, another awesome drive cone that takes inspiration from the other ship and the rest of his ships in this line. He does a very good job of keeping his fleets looking the same, especially if they're all supposed to be from the same company or the same organization. Going inside, this one has another pretty Spartan interior. You can see right here you have access to maintenance down this hatch, so you immediately can access the ship. Nice little airlock. And going inside, it's just another long tube that goes through the ship, gives you access to medbay, gives you access to quarters. The CIC is just above here, up this ladder, or up these stairs. A really cool CIC, I really like this one. It has this like interesting kind of upper section that you can kind of look down on. You can't go up there, of course, but it adds a little bit of visual height and visual interest to the space. Of course, going through, you have captain's quarters, of course, why not, and some other stuff before you go through. Next up is the Chimera class. I think this probably is qualified as a cruiser as well. It has 2 railguns and 2 coil guns, and it is really, really well built. It's a quad drive on the back, or sorry, actually it's a tri-drive on the back, which is really rare. And it has this awesome greebling up front with this kind of like separated nose of the ship. It really makes it a really, really cool ship to look at. And I love how he used like the interior blocks to create this like cool pattern. Of course, it has a very nice torpedo complement with 6 torpedo launchers, as well as having those 2 railguns and 2 coil guns. It can really deal some damage. This is like a meta level ship right here. And again, the link is in the description if you want to take this out for a spin. It has a very nice drive complement, 3 large tri-drives, and then another one completely embedded in the armor for protection, and then 3 kind of backup drives as well. I think that will really help with people trying to immobilize you and take you out. And then it has a very nice PDC complement. It should be able to handle a ton of torps coming its way. Going inside, we have a nice airlock, kind of, just an open airlock that leads you to a very Spartan CIC. Of course, it has lots of LCDs for you to put all your scripts up on. Another backpack cockpit, some maintenance hatches, and of course, lots of greebling because Spud is very good at that. So again, this is the second half of Spud's meta fleet. You can take a look at it. All the links are in the description. If you want to get involved in the server, the link is also in the description. We're hitting 50, 60 players every single day. Come join us.